Hello. Good morning, AJ. How are you doing? How was the weekend? It was good, Philip. It was long. I worked like a 12, well, I was like busy for like 12 hours straight. Hey, Eleanor, good morning. Did you guys watch the video with us this morning, or did you guys just come when we went live here? Hey, Silver. Good morning, Zoe. How are you? I am good. I'm tired, but what's new? Other than that, I'm good. Stressed? I feel that. So, for those of you that are watching, just so you know, so basically every morning, instead of going live at 9:30, uh, we're gonna watch the day's video. Oh, you're on a plane? Nice. Correct page. I made it do that. Interesting, Philip. Yeah, we watched today's video all together as a premiere, and then it went straight to the live. Yeah. Hello, good morning. I will admit, everything going on. Hey, Jen, was it difficult to set up? No, no. I just have to like pre-schedule everything. We already did, meme. That's what we did at 9:30. So I premiered at 9:30, and we all watch that together, and then it goes straight in. But yeah, this whole everything that happened this weekend with all of the mass unalivings and stuff, plus, you know, us going back to war basically, and the whole thing with the website and the people that are acting as though the number matters when in regards to what's going on. My brain is trying not to get insanely pissed. By the way, if you're over here on TikTok, please tap that nose. It helps push it out. We can get it to 10K in the first 10 minutes. It pushes it out farther. The weekend was insane with all of it, yes. And you know, let's ignore the fact that, you know, oil prices are gonna keep going up again, and People don't seem to care. This is two separate issues. They never happened. There were no, other than that first set, which didn't work, there have been really none. They're just firing at each other now. That's called the TikTok way to put it, Steven, because I still have to deal with this algorithm. And I only have so much space in the screen above me. So, yeah, I have to put lost. Do I think Dems will sweep the midterms with all the backlash over the war? I think they are going to do really, really well in the House, and I think there's probably a 50-50 shot and has potential of getting even higher in the Senate. Yes, I'm from Scotland. I'm sorry. My heart breaks for all who lost babies. Yeah, Lorraine. Me too. And what makes it worse is the 8 children lost in Louisiana. That is Mike Johnson's district. And when asked about it, he just did the thoughts and prayers things again. He just did the thoughts and prayers thing again. Yep, all because of their father. And yes, there are a lot of people that are making a lot of money from what's going on over in the Middle East. Yep. There's a lot of people that probably don't want what's going on over there to end because they keep making money off of it. That's what happens when you lack empathy and humanity. Market manipulation? Oh, absolutely. 100% market manipulation. They have no incentive to end the war. Nope. That is why more than ever we need to do a major flip in Congress. Morning, Carla. I mean, I just saw a video about it. Do you guys remember last year when Trump was talking about UAE investing over $1 trillion in the United States? Well, if you didn't see the news today, the UAE is now asking for financial support from the United States. So needless to say, they aren't investing shit. Even if they could, which I don't think they could, but they definitely aren't investing $1 trillion in the United States while they're asking us to financially protect them and support them. What's up, Scott? We're still pissed about watching RFK. Yeah, RFK's thing in front of Congress was so bad. It was gnome level bad. You feel like things are different. The world feels different. Different in like, what do you mean? Do I think things are different? Like changed in the last like year, like how the world is seeing things? Oh, I didn't realize you lost your internet, Scott. Dang. 3 days without internet. That must have been rough. How many books did you read? No. No, it doesn't. Both are exactly true. How do you expect me to tell the entire story in a headline? But no, neither. I mean, they're bad. Of course they're bad. Losing any children lost is bad. And being at war is also bad. So I'm not sure. Two books, Lost Power for 24 hours and Phone and Inner for 3 days. Dang. Hey, James. His voice is nails in a chalkboard. Second, he made no sense. Yeah. 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 When he was asked about the maternal mortality rate of black women and what's being done about it and what getting rid of DEI is going to do for that, and he's like, we're already helping it, and they're like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Like, you're not helping anything. Guys, if you're over here on TikTok, please tap that nose. The faster that the likes go up, the more this gets pushed to. And also know I go live over on the tube at the same time. Sometimes talking over on TikTok is kind of a pain in the butt. So if I'm not responding to your stuff, there's a good chance it's getting filtered. UAE's GDP is only 601 billion. Oh, I know. That's why it was a dumb statement. Lost how? Their lives. Busy. Their lives. Yep. To their father, who had firearms convictions. But there are no red flag laws in Louisiana. What does that have to do with war? Nothing. That's why there are two different statements. Context. There is no context to children losing their lives to their father. The fact that you think there is wild. What does it have to do with war? Nothing. That's why there are two separate statements. Learn to write a prompt. Learn to comment better. Got you to comment. Seems like a pretty good prompt to me. All right, dude. Scrolling on. All right, goodbye. Like I care. Thanks, Siberio. How you doing, buddy? No, I don't know you. I thought you were moving on. It's amazing that we're able to chew bubblegum and walk at the same time. I know, right? Thank you, Deborah. I follow the Unfuck America tour a bit, not like super strong, but there's some people that I know that have been involved in it, so I get some stuff every once in a while. I do not know digital ground game initiatives though. Morning, Chrissy. The economy is bad. This thing always happened. This thing has been happening for a long time. It's just been gradually getting worse. And yeah, when stress and depression happen, it definitely gets worse. There were 6 over the weekend. 13 total lost their lives, 19 injured in less than 3 days. In like the equivalent of 2.5 days, I think. Or 48 hours, actually. They're pretty much aligned. Just happy to see some dev movements that aren't tanky doomerism. Yeah, I'm kind of tired of the doomerism as a whole. Morning, Alejandra. No worries? Oh no, there's a worry. Definitely a worry. What's up, Ziggy? Good morning. Hey, OC. Anger level is still off the chart. And again, this is the thing. I could cover this entire screen with stuff that happened over the weekend that we really need to talk about. Iran is firing on vessels trying to go through. For the first time ever, the Strait was completely closed. Not one vessel crossed the Strait of Hormuz for the first time ever. Ever. So much for a ceasefire. Yup. Yeah. They basically said they aren't going to the peace negotiation. Russia has said they no longer care about peace talks. He did another 2-week thing with Cuba. Like, I've never seen anyone so freaking incompetent. Like the level of incompetence is absolutely mind blowing. How someone can screw everything they touch up in terms of worldwide. Obviously, he's making himself and a bunch of his buddies a lot of money. I don't think he's doing it. I think other people are telling him what to do. But it's called checkmate. What's called checkmate? I don't know what that means. What's up, Scott?
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Oh, it's been a wild weekend. I had a 10, 12 hour day yesterday of stuff I was doing like nonstop. You live in Shreveport, Courtney. I can't imagine what the people of Shreveport are going through right now. That is absolutely wretched.
Well, this is a hell of a ceasefire we've got going on, huh?
Yeah.
It's really seems to be working like a charm. The Straits of Hormuz are open. Open for what? Fish? It's certainly not open for any tankers. Certainly not open for any ships. But that's okay. We're sending Vance, the inimitable Steve Witkoff, he's my new favorite, and his loyal sidekick, Jared, back to the Middle East with no guarantee that the Iranians are even going to show up.
Last I heard, they said they weren't.
Who wasn't?
The Iranians, yeah.
Well, they're giving mixed signals.
Okay.
They're as bad with mixed signals as we are, but at least they have an excuse because their leaders are all in hiding. They're not communicating with each other. They're a bit of a mess over there. But, we're sending Steve Witkoff to fail again. He failed in Ukraine. He failed with Russia. He failed in Gaza. He failed with the EU. He failed in the first round of negotiations. He failed in the second round of negotiations. Hey, I got a great idea. Let's send him back for yet another round of negotiations.
What? Clinton vessels are not... What?
Clinton? What, Hillary's got tankers over there? Or is that Bill?
Doesn't even make any sense. That person doesn't get to be a part of the not sending Rubio. I don't even think sending Rubio for the talks would have done anything. Again, they're all just... How can any government trust anything we say, no matter how good or bad they are? I've never seen a government anywhere flip-flop like everyone in this administration does.
Well, it would show a level of seriousness to send the Secretary of State there. But what's really needed are experts on Iran. We wouldn't have been involved in this war at all if Steve Witkoff had anybody on his staff in Geneva who spoke Farsi, because the Iranians went a long way towards our negotiation position right before we started dropping bombs. And he didn't realize it because nobody on the American side could read Farsi. It's amazingly inept. It's like sending the kid who pumps your gas to negotiate for you. For those of you in chat wondering who Steve Witkoff is and what type of diplomat he is, he's not a diplomat at all. He's a shady New York real estate hustler who has absolutely, categorically no experience in diplomacy, and boy, does it show. He's failed in every mission he's been given, so we're sending him back now. What a great idea.
So, Coach, is the only reason you're bringing it up because it happened in New York City, or because you're trying to say that other bad things are happening? There were 6 mass firings with 13 people that lost their life and 19 injured across the country. more than just what you're talking about. If your only purpose is to try and bash New York City, then you don't get to keep talking here, because there are horrible things like these happening across the country in every state all the time. And that is the problem. If you're going to try and blame a certain kind of person or a certain person with a certain letter next to their name, you're done talking here. Because that's not the purpose of this. You think the only reason I even care that this is happening in Louisiana is because they don't have red flag laws, and the dad actually had previous convictions regarding firearm possession, and it's the Speaker of the House's friggin' district, and all he says is thoughts and prayers. That's it. That is the only reason I'm bringing it up, and it's children. That's it. I would bring it up no matter where it happened. This is happening everywhere, not just in specifics. Again, if you come in and you are unwilling to acknowledge bad when you see it, just because it doesn't fit your narrative about a country, about a state or a person who's got a D next to their name, then you are not going to be able to be part of this conversation. Because in the end, this conversation isn't about letters next to their name or colors that people think states are. It's about fixing the shit that is wrong in this country.
You know, Mike, when that mass the mass pew-pewing, sorry, almost said the wrong word, the mass pew-pewing at that kindergarten, what, about 10 years ago now, maybe even longer? I want to say it's Red Hook. Forgive me if I'm getting the name of the elementary school wrong. When we did nothing after that, I gave up. I just figured this is the world we live in, and it's just going to keep happening, and it has. It's kept happening,
yeah.
And it's going to continue to keep happening,
and
because we don't take pew pew control seriously in this country anymore.
Yeah, and this is
Sandy Hook. Thank you.
This is the ultimate problem that we've got going on. Okay, I said this. You know, there's been a whole thing about with this website that CNN was talking about, and you know, I put 62 million men on my thing, and people have been coming in. I've been seeing videos about people flipping out and be like, it's not men, it's hits. The number doesn't matter. There is a website out in the open where men are teaching other men how to do some of the most despicable things ever to their wives and their significant others and their girlfriends. That's the problem. The number doesn't matter. I said it in I think it was in I forget what I said in. I remember when I was a kid, and a toy that they were selling hurt one child. And what the child was doing was dumb, but it hurt one child. And the country literally exploded, and that toy got taken off the market. And yet we're sitting here, men, even some women, which boggles my mind, are trying to sit here and focus on the fact that it's not 62 million men, even though if you take every horrible, shitty thing that men do, not just in this country, but in the world, it's probably way more than 62 million. And that's the point, is women can't tell. Women cannot fully tell. These people that are watching this content and are learning from these men are doing it to their wives. People they supposedly trust and love enough to be married to them. And you're sitting here going, well, we gotta get the numbers right. The numbers don't matter. And the way I put it in another thing is, the numbers only really matter if the narrative changes because of the number. The narrative does not change whether it's 62 million or 1 million or 100,000 or 1,000 because of the problem. J6, that's misinformation. That's a problem. Why? Because the two different stories change the narrative of the problem. One group said, these people tried to overthrow our government. People lost their lives. What does the other side say? That's not what happened. We were being escorted around. We were just wandering around having a happy-go-lucky day. That's misinformation. The fact is we don't know how many people really watch this kind of content around the world, because most of it probably does happen in a place that's not out in the open. Makes it even worse the fact that there's one that's out in the open. But I guarantee this stuff is happening in a lot of other places, on a lot of other websites, and it's easy to complain.
We're pointing out the fact of mass unalivings. I don't think that's a complaint. That's a fact.
Words matter. Words do matter. Sure, words matter. But there's also nuance. Again, I've seen people say you shouldn't say 62 million men because it seems more scary to women. And I'm like, and in my head, I'm like, what women are you talking to? Because most of the women that I interact with are nervous of men no matter what before this. This should make every woman nervous. Hearing about this should make every woman nervous. And it should make every man pissed. And the fact is, it is not. And that's the problem. Too many people are arguing about a number of men. It's wild to me. The comments I'm getting on my videos about this are wild. The fact that we have been desensitized to firearm events, to these SA events, to all of this stuff. We've been desensitized so much that we can't even get sufficiently angry about an area of the internet like this. That we can't get sufficiently angry about what happened in Louisiana anymore. That's not saying people here aren't angry. Obviously, there are many people that are upset about it. But as a country, we are not getting sufficiently angry about it. Ask away.
By the way, before the president's announcement on Friday, which led to the stock market going up 900 points, once again, 2 minutes before his announcement, a $650 million trade was made. Mm-hmm. Now, if we had, this is the third time now, not the first, not the second, not the third, totaling $1.5 billion in trades. The person who made the trade, we don't know who it is, netted in 2 minutes $100 million in profits. That would trigger a Department of Justice investigation and an SEC investigation if either one of those elements of our governance were still functional, which they are not. That is just blatant and open corruption. If it happened once, you could say it was lucky. Happens 3 times, it's a pattern. All 3 times, 2 minutes before he made the announcement on Truth Social.
Any educated person sees the market go up and they would sell. I did. Yeah, that's not, you obviously aren't listening, RSR.
The subject we were discussing, RSR, is market manipulation, not the normal fluctuation of a normal market.
It's people buying 2 minutes before an announcement that they know will increase the market. Not when you see something happening. And forget the problem that most people in this country don't have the kind of money to have stocks in the first place, but we won't go there. This country has a cancer. I would argue this world has a cancer. I think it is out and about and strong right now in this country, and we need to deal with it as being part of this country. But you're seeing a lot of this stuff around the world, and that's that. Like, there are some that are starting to wake up already, which is great, at least starting to. But unfortunately, this is a global problem that we are dealing with right now. Well, yeah. I was watching a video where they said these dips and raises in energy, and a lot of people's 401ks, at least part of it, are in energy. They're actually losing money because of the way the market is working. We're helpless. I mean, I guess it depends what you mean by helpless. There is no quick fix for what we're dealing with, Helen. That is the problem.
Helen, the problem is we don't have a Department of Justice looking into this. And we don't have an SEC looking into this. In any normal administration, this would have been a red flag and it would have been triggered. Doesn't mean maybe somebody got lucky, except they would investigate it. Yep. You don't have a $650 million trade 2 minutes before the president posts on Truth Social, leading to a $100 million profit in 2 minutes without that triggering an investigation, at least.
Yep. So, are we helpless? No, we need to keep calling it out. We need to keep talking to our representatives. I'm interviewing grassroots candidates, people that are just our moms and dads and union workers and things like that. Like, people that are the kind of people that we need in office, posting every day. These people, we need to get them in office.
And you were talking about people being desensitized to SA, people being desensitized to pew-pew violence. People have been desensitized to a lot of things. They're desensitized to our politicians lying to us. They're desensitized to blatant market manipulation. They're desensitized to the fact that Trump's net worth in 1 year went up $1.5 billion. They're desensitized to $400 million Qatari planes that are given to a president when I think there's a $600 limit as to what type of gift you can take. They're desensitized to corruption, period. It's pretty amazing.
It's not a surprise at all that Cash is on Fox whining about the story that came out about him. That is the exact kind of thing that gives the kind of press that the president does not like and will get him booted. He should be booted. He is a horrible person who's incompetent to the nth degree. But that's why that's happening. He knows he's screwed at this point. Thoughts on the main cause of unaliving in the U.S. to be that? That is very common when a society is in the midst of crashing, when an economy is in the midst of crashing, when people don't see a way out in any way, shape, or form. So it doesn't surprise me that that is the main cause at this point. I fear it only getting worse.
I read the article on Kash Patel in the Atlantic, and he naturally has said he is going to sue the Atlantic. Well, good luck with that, Cash, because she had 9 sources for that. 9. So good luck, Cash. You go ahead and sue them. We'll see how that works out for you.
Roro, who turns their head? Who's turning their head when politicians do it? Not to mention the fact that we'd be perfectly happy getting every single 99% of the politicians in office out at this point. Nothing does happen to them because the people that are in charge of making something happen to them are part of the problem. Yeah, the fact that Cash is trying to sue the Atlantic, I was like, dude, like at this point they just make the threats because they're hoping like to scare them into stopping.
And you're quite right, Godless. Discovery would be a joy if I were the Atlantic's attorneys. It would be a joy to go to Discovery with Cash.
And you're right. Politicians doing it daily and turning their head is wretched. Yep, I agree, Roar. That's why I always say, look, there's a lot of people I fundamentally disagree with a lot of things on, especially on the right. I think we agree with more than we disagree. I think we just have to be willing to see it. And we have to be willing to be wrong. All of us. That's the biggest thing. I think part of the problem is a lot of us don't want to be wrong. We want to be right about the people we supported. We want to be right about how we view the world, even when things show up that show that our view is wrong, whatever that may be. Look at the people that for however long they did stood up for Swalwell. Those are some of the people that probably were the strongest supporters of him winning the governorship, or supported him for a long time. It's not easy to find out you got duped that bad. Stock market crash of the 80s had people literally jumping out of windows. Yeah. And I was watching a video today about how the government and the Fed and all that just keep basically protecting the stock market from crashing. Yes, gambling addict. Yep. Yeah, we talked about the fact that he was already arrested for doing some pretty bad stuff earlier, and because Louisiana has no red flag laws, I just can't put everything above my head. So I gotta. There seems to be this issue people think that I can put a whole, book above my head. And not all of them do godless gratitude. I've actually been seeing quite a few super wealthy people starting to wake up to the reality that we are in a situation where the wealthy will have to get brought down and the people at the bottom are going to have to get brought up, or it's going to get really bad. So it's not many yet. You're still seeing a lot of super wealthy people trying to prop up the current system and be like, oh, you know, it's just do this. Just do this and everything will be fine. But in general, well, not in general, but you see a few people here and there, people that I don't respect in general, actually coming out and saying things and going, did I really hear him say that? It was some billionaire on some there's this podcast with like 3 billionaires and a like a uber millionaire, and they like pretend that, you know, this administration is great usually, and where the problems are actually with, you know, people that have nothing, stuff like that. Try and pretend the economy is good just because it's good for them. Yep. See, here's my issue when it comes to people like Buffett, etc. All of these billionaires. I am grateful that they are willing to be taxed. The problem is not the taxes, though. The problem is the way we do economic society in this country. You know what would be so much better is for people like Buffett to take those billions of dollars and give them to a bunch of people that are starting small businesses. Give them each $1 million. Not to make money back. Just give them $1 million. Do you know how many you could give how many people $1 million to start a small business without having to get anything back and still just break $1 billion? 1,000 people? That's 1,000 small businesses you could support with $1 million. And some of these people have way more. The problem is, again, most of them don't really have money. They have wealth. They don't use the wealth. The wealth just sits there. And then they take out loans based on that wealth. So we're sitting in this circle that we can never get out of, because we're not actually growing the economy. We're growing the wealth of a very small amount of people who will never use their wealth because they don't have to use it ever. Because they were just given the stocks. They're not actually losing money. That's why they don't care. If you were given 1 million stocks, just given 1 million shares of, say, Tesla, you didn't buy them, you were given them. What do you care whether they're $50 a share or $400 a share? Sure, you would rather it be $400 a share because you like money. But in the end, you're not losing anything. So why do they care? They still are allowed to just take out loans based on all of that money. There are more gamer philanthropists than white collar. There are much poorer philanthropists than there are white collar wealthy ones. Yes. Because in general, the super wealthy don't give for the betterment of society. They give for tax breaks. or to get something back. That's the part that always bugs me. They just play their own game. They're telling you how to do it. They're not telling you how to do it. So you're saying that the way we should be playing the game is using and abusing other people. They are golden, silver, and crypto. It's very easy. Grow up, dude. It is not very easy. The fact that you're saying it's very easy shows how little you know of the world. It's very easy. All fake money. Yes, you absolutely can, warrior. Ghost. Which, again, is the problem with capitalism. When you're talking the kind of wealth that that the people at the top have, it 100% requires there to be a lot more people at the bottom. And we're not talking survival bottom. We're talking bottom. We're talking homeless. We're talking barely surviving. We're talking putting everything on a credit card. Bottom. I'm for any society that allows for all people, no matter your race, religion, gender, or identity, to get rights, respect, dignity, and safety. I'm for any society that allows for people to have a living wage and be able to eat and have a place to live and have health care and have education. No, we do not. No, we do not. The fact that you think we do shows how little you know of what's going on in the world. Or in this country. Explain it. There are literally tens, if not hundreds of millions of people right now that don't have health care or barely have health care or can't afford health care because of the choices this country has made. Housing is also out of people's ability to afford. People can't afford food because it has gone up too much in price. People can't afford to travel. People can't afford to do anything. Women's bodily autonomy has been taken from them. People's voting rights are trying to get taken from them. You are so dramatic. See, you don't want a conversation. I tell you what's going on in the world, and you're like, oh, you're just being dramatic. Goodbye. That does vary by state. Don't care. No, you didn't. The second you said you were being so dramatic, conversation is over. Conversation is over the second you say being too dramatic, because that means you're not actually listening to what I'm saying, which is I have talked to people that are dealing with this. The statistics are talking about people that are dealing with this. The fact that you aren't experiencing it or your friends aren't experiencing it means nothing. That does vary. You're talking about cost of living varies by state? Don't care. I'm not going to bring you up. You got muted. What the hell?
Look, it doesn't take a genius to know that the disparity in income in this country is at the largest level in its history, even more than in the Gilded Age. So historically, that usually leads to great social unrest. So we're living on a knife's edge here. And that's something that we have to take into account. If you take a look at not just the United States history, world history, anytime you have that type of income disparity, it usually leads to trouble. France, 1789, Russia, 1917, Germany under the Kaiser, it usually leads to trouble. And that's what we have right now.
Yep.
We learned in history about the robber barons. They are a day at the beach compared to what we have now.
And again, so yes, the cost of living in different states is different. Here's the thing. The reason the cost of living is so vastly different is because we allow different states to treat how people treat the idea of cost of living differently. You want to know what would fix that? Is if people could afford to live with a job anywhere in the country. That by its very nature would even out the playing field. We are dealing, and again, don't listen to me say that and think that I think we can just snap our fingers, flip a switch, and fix the problem. We have deregulated and destroyed our economic system so badly that there is no switch we can flip to fix the problem quickly. None. The poorest people pay more for food and gas than I do in Louisville. Yep. Because less people buy, probably because it's rural. And so they're not selling enough. Tax reform could be a good start. I think if you did it right, that could help. Sure. I would. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that would be a good start. Raising the minimum wage would be a good start. Putting back regulations would be a good start. Requiring people, making it so people cannot take out loans based on their wealth would be a good start. Requiring people to literally use their wealth to do things they want to do would be a good start.
Emphasis on the word regulations. They've been stripped down, and we're going to pay one hell of a price for that. If you don't remember the 2008 recession, that's exactly what brought it on. And we're seeing, for instance, more subprime mortgages than at any time since 2008. That is a ticking time bomb just waiting to happen.
Blue, I would argue even more than, and yeah, we do need to build more small, especially smaller starter homes. There aren't enough of them out there. There haven't been for a long time. In general, we've been building larger homes everywhere. But that being said, not allowing people to own 3, 4, 5. We're not just talking private equity. We're talking people, which there are so many out there, or requiring people that have multiple homes to pay some more taxes on a home that they don't spend a lot of time in. Because most of them are either renting it or they have so much money that they're just doing nothing with it. And it's creating an amount problem. I can't, inventory problem. Thank you. From my own brain. There's a lot of things that we need to do. We need to get We need to make housing not be a commodity. We need to take the things that shouldn't be commodities out from being commodities. Housing shouldn't be a commodity. Food shouldn't be a commodity. At least not in the way that it's turned into. Healthcare shouldn't be a commodity. People's health shouldn't be about making as much money. Like, no one should own stocks in a healthcare system. Energy shouldn't be a commodity in that respect. Yes, people buying billionaires buying farmland. Yes. And yes, Bonnie, again, starter homes are necessary. It is a great way to get in and build some equity that you can use to get a larger home if you need it. I think that's a different problem. I think also we like to have there's desire to have these big homes that we don't need.
Well, some states require developers to set aside certain amounts of a development for low-income housing. That's an idea that should catch on, and that's an idea that should be implemented nationwide.
And multifamily homes should be an option. Again, it all there's so many things. The building of HOAs was a big downturn in how we do housing. Again, housing becoming commodities was a big downturn. There's just this idea that not wanting things that could help a community being built because you don't want your housing property value to go down. Even though it has value to your community, to the area, but you don't want it near you because you're worried what might happen to the value of your property. And again, that only matters when the whole purpose of having it is as a commodity, not as a place that you live in. Tiny house communities are cropping up in every state. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you, Linda, and that's because for builders, they make a lot more of a profit on a McMansion than they do on a starter home. And there's certain tax ways you could use the tax code and ways you could use building codes to prevent that, but we don't do that, and we should.
Especially because in general, people don't want yards anymore because it costs a lot to take care of a yard. So they're able to put these big ass houses on this almost non-existent yard, and you've got like 3 feet between you and the next house, and people just buy them up. So you've got almost no land, a big house that you don't use most of the time, but it's all that's available. But yeah, and again, I'm going to say this now. This is why I am interviewing so many people. If you don't know, I'm interviewing progressive candidates, people that want to actually fix things. They want to bring back regulations. They want to be able to pass budgets again. They want to be held accountable. All of this stuff. And I'm posting ones every day. And for those of you that are here that are interested, basically every morning now, I go live on the tube of you. Normally we talked for 30 minutes. Now we're just gonna watch the video that goes of that day together, and then we can talk about it while watching it if we want, like, which we have. So just be aware if that's something that you're interested.
Well, I popped in this morning and I saw some interview that you had going on. And forgive me if you've announced it again. I was without internet or my phone for a number of days,
Yeah.
but I popped off it for a second. Then when I went back on YouTube, I couldn't find it again. It was gone.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's because it's like it is alive, but it's not alive. So if you went into, did you try going into my actual channel and seeing it?
No, because your channel didn't have that signal on that you were doing something. So I assumed you'd just cut it off, and I didn't know.
Yeah. The link will always to the video that we're all watching together will always be in the Discord. That's easy place to find it in the socials. But also I think if you went onto my page, it would give you the link to it because we're just all watching it live. Yeah.
You had the same problem, Linda? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, premieres aren't perfect, but this gives us a chance to, it opens the door to people that maybe because they're busy other times can't watch it. So it's like, well, let's all watch it together. And I'm trying to get it so people that are interviewed are going to come into the chat. Because I just started this, I haven't had a chance to get that to happen, but that's the long-term goal. And we can ask questions while watching and the people will be right there. So. Paid $63K for your property in 1999. 3.5 acres on a 42-acre stocked, like 2-bedroom loft home. Yeah. I mean, my house that I grew up in, my parents bought it for $50,000. And like, it's like $750,000 easy right now. Nope, it's a recorded interview that we all watch together live. So instead of me just posting it at 8:30 and people getting on it whenever, there's literally a chat next to it and we just watch it live together.
Okay, I understand now. For some reason, I thought it was a live interview.
Nope.
And then I got confused because I clicked off it, making a phone call. Then I went back onto YouTube and it was gone.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's weird. It's weird for me too. I don't totally get it. I just know that when I did it a different time, it actually helped increase the numbers and pushed it out to more people. So oh yes, we are absolutely still at war with them. 100%. 100%. Like I said, for the first time ever in a 24-hour period, no ships went through the Strait of Hormuz. Not one. And if you don't think that's going to affect everybody, then, I mean, again, UAE is asking the United States to help prop up their economy because of the war we started. Hope you guys like the national debt going up, because damn, is it going to go up. They can't cut much more than they're trying to, especially if they're trying to increase the friggin' the Department of Defense budget.
Well, Mike, not that it would have made a difference because he doesn't listen to them anyway, but it certainly didn't help cutting the Iran desk along with most of the Persian Gulf desks at the State Department as part of Doge. We're paying a hell of a price for that now that we don't have the institutional expertise for dealing with Iran within our own State Department. But again, Trump is using numbskulls like Steve Witkoff to do his negotiating anyway.
And so, no, those are two separate things, Taco Cat. And no, the 8 children that lost their life in Louisiana did not lose their life to another immigrant. You obviously don't know Shreveport very well. that's fine. And adding on ballrooms to our White House. Yep. We are not at war with immigrants. We should be having more immigrants. I'd rather have immigrants in this country than a bunch of the people. I'm gonna ignore that comment and say goodbye. They were Americans. You piece of shit. Maybe you can go thoughts and prayers. Get out of my anything. Goodbye.
The other thing to remember in Iran with the Strait of Hormuz closed, it's not just oil, folks. It's natural gas and it's fertilizer as well.
Mhm.
That's going to, in many ways, the breakdown in natural gas, since natural gas is used in making chips, it's used in making fertilizer, it's used in not just heating also, is this could be a greater problem long term than even the oil shortage, which is bad enough. Because Qatar has had the 20% of the world's natural gas comes from the Qatari natural gas field that was so damaged, it's going to take between 3 and 5 years to fix. So this is going to be a very long-term problem that's going to percolate throughout the entire economy, not just the United States, but worldwide. Yeah, and helium too.
Yep. And I was never okay with the ballroom. Like spending $400 million on anything that doesn't help the American people.
Still a worldwide price, though. Non-useful. It's a worldwide price for natural gas.
And
it's a fungible product, just like oil is.
And we're gonna be shipping out more natural gas, diesel, jet fuel to other countries, which means our supply is going to be lower here, which means the price is going to go up. And again, that's why you can't look at oil futures. You have to look at oil spot prices. And spot prices are in the 130, 140, 150, 160 range.
Well, that's right, Bonnie. And it is correct. We're selling a lot of our natural gas overseas, which is going to cause the price to rise even more here in the United States. Again, natural gas, like oil, is a fungible product. It's a worldwide product, and the sellers will go where they can sell it. And if they can make more money selling it overseas, that's precisely what they're going to do.
One group is disproportionately responsible for this type of crime. You'll figure it out. Yeah, men. Men. That's the group. Men. Like 99%. That's the group. It's not LGBTQIA community. It's not minorities. It's not immigrants. It's men. That is the group. Hey, Summer. Love how they're like, you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out when you get older. You missed all the people on Friday, Scott, telling me how I'm too young to know anything.
Well, I've often thought the same thing. You're way too young. What are you, 26?
That's what people keep telling me. Hey, Minnesota mom. I wish my body felt 26.
You and me both.
I'm too young to feel this damn old. That's fair.
Mike, I wish a lot of things felt like I was 26 again. That was a long time ago for me.
Drop the skincare. I keep telling people, if I had one to drop, I would be a billionaire.
Well, now that looks maxing guy is in big trouble, I was thinking about stepping into the void and starting I don't even know what the hell looks maxing is. And I don't know who what do they call him? Clavicle
or something like that.
Clavicle. I don't know who the hell this kid is, but he's blown up on TikTok, and I'm not really quite sure what looks maxing is. But I'm almost 70 years old, so I don't think you could look max me at all.
Clavicular. Thank you.
Clavicular. Yeah, that's his name. He evidently fucked up somehow and got arrested or whacked out of his mind at some Miami club.
Oh, yeah.
But at any rate, I'm thinking about stepping in and starting my own looks maxing thing.
Well, yeah, he became big in the looks maxing thing because he actually was hitting his face with a hammer to try and like chisel his features or something like that.
Well, I hit my head with a hammer every time I hear Trump speak, so maybe I could be a looks maxer.
Maybe. Anything's possible. You saw the movie Mother Mary this weekend. It was very good. Interesting. Never heard of it. He was trying to square up his jaw. Yeah, that doesn't make it any better. That's
yeah. I think they're easy. I think there are easier ways to get plastic surgery than to bash yourself in the head with a hammer. I'm just saying, maybe not, but I think there are easier ways to do it.
A looks maxing we never thought of. I've never thought of looks maxing ever. So to say we never thought of it, I've never thought about it ever. And some people may look at me and go, I can tell. I don't care.
You know, Mike, I never heard of looks maxing until I saw on my FYP that this kid messed up somehow. He's big on the looks maxing community. What the hell is looks maxing? I had to look it up.
Well, you can max everything now. What is looks max? It's this idea of making your looks as quote unquote perfect, ideal as possible, anyway, to the point of literally changing the structure of your jaw and stuff by hitting it with a hammer.
And isn't that, I could be wrong here, and correct me, Chad, if I am, isn't that primarily like a young male thing, the looks maxing thing? It's not a female thing, it's a young male thing?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the dysmorphia being exploited by red pill community is sad. Honestly, they need to. Yes. I mean, the red pill community is a bunch of immature, scared men using a bunch of other immature, scared men to make a lot of money. That is what the red pill community is.
Could you say that again? Because I didn't know.
So the red pill community is a bunch of weak, scared, immature men using other weak, scared, immature men to make money. So
Oh, I see.
so they pretend. So it's weak, scared, immature little men pretending to be strong men and telling other men how they can be strong and saying, if you buy this, if you do this, if you follow me, if you watch my stuff, if you give me this, you will learn how to be a quote unquote real man.
Is that like that Tate guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Have you seen, if you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. There's a documentary on Netflix called Into the Manosphere. It gives you a really frightening but good idea of how pitiful that whole red pill community is. What's up, Nate? How's it going, man? But yeah, the red pill community is I mean, the main guy in the story in Into the Manosphere speaks out, says that that like pornography and stuff is horrible, which it is. At least in the way that I'm not going to tell people what they can enjoy and what they can't, but in the way, the fact that women need to, the only way women can survive is by using that is horrible. He said that he thinks it's horrible. It's against God's plan or something, and he would never let his daughter do it. But then he also owns a what's the word? He owns a company that brings women in to make OF accounts. So not only is he saying it's bad on one side, but then he owns a company that hires women and helps them start OF accounts. And it's like that it's so bad. It's so bad.
Yeah, I saw that on my feed for Netflix, and I didn't quite understand what it was about, but I think I will watch it now because I've heard good things about it too.
It gives you a really good, I say good in quotes, understanding of that community and how bad it is. Sounds like human trafficking with extra steps. Yeah, kind of.
Oh, I'm sure it'll depress the hell out of me watching that.
Absolutely, Rosa. And that is what I mean. That is what I mean by it. I think the current way that we deal with the corn industry is bad. Because for a lot of women, it's dangerous, and we've got a society where too many feel like they have no other choice. That is why I look at it as bad, because they are off the women that do it are often used and abused and looked down upon on society when they are just trying to survive like everybody else. I think I have no, whether or not I would watch it, I have no issue with someone who wants to do it being willing and able to do it. I think I don't think it should be a only resort for women, and then they are then looked down upon for doing something. What's crazy is the same men that probably use it are the same ones that look down upon them for doing it. I think that's, again, it goes back to hypocrisy. What's the name of it? Into the Manosphere. It has nothing to do with a self-esteem issue, Serenity. The fact that you think it's a self-esteem issue means you don't understand how things are right now. That is actually a pretty shitty thing to say. It's a survival issue. If your choice is paying bills or not, you do what you need to pay bills, and that's what a lot of them do. They're not sitting here going, oh man, I've always dreamed of having, all right, see you, Nate, have a good one, my friend. I've always dreamed of having an OF account and having creepy men stare at my body. No. Does it bring in money so they can pay their bills? Yes. So you're telling me it's their last for most of them? Yes. Yes. Last only.
Now, Mike, forgive my naivete because I'm a little bit older and past the age of watching all that stuff. You mentioned OF. Is that the site where people do it themselves? They self-film each other? Okay. I'm not completely out of the loop, but I've never seen it, so I don't know.
Thank you, Patty. Yeah. And again, is that everyone? No. But who am I to tell someone what they can and can't do with their own body? My problem is that they shouldn't be looked down upon for doing it, especially when people are willing to pay for it. You want to know again, and this is not a bash even on the ones that are making money. You want to know how you stop this kind of stuff from being as big of a thing as it is? When people, especially men, stop paying for it. Like, it's that simple. It's the same idea with illicit substances. Why do they do it? Because they literally make tens, hundreds, thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, doing it. Why shame the provider? Because there's a lot of hypocrites in the world, Trudy. That's why. You have a choice, and that's all I'm going to say. That is a very privileged statement, Serenity. That is a very privileged statement to make.
Hi, all.
Hey. No, that's a woman's statement. We see this differently, and I'm not bashing you for yours. That is your statement. There's a lot of women that are saying what I'm saying.
Serenity, I was just going to comment that sometimes as women, I think we can take the moral high ground on a lot of things, but when you're talking about something like OF, that's one of the, I mean, historically, that's one of the jobs that women have had to just survive. And I think that you're missing the context of that. I think that I would hate to be in that position, but you have to realize that the economy has been bad for a really long time. And this was before, you know, this administration, um, going all the way back to probably about 2016, the economy has been really bad. So a lot of these younger millennials and Gen, is it Gen Y or yeah, I think it's them, or Gen Z, I'm sorry, Gen Z, they haven't even had an opportunity to get jobs that are paying them over $20 an hour. I mean, let's just be honest here. These, uh, even the ones with college degrees, they are not making a lot of money. This is the generation, they haven't been able to buy houses, different things like that. So if something comes along like social media where they can make money, or OF and different things like that, they're doing it. And these are the same people that if they were working at Walmart or McDonald's or Best Buy, and they were on our Medicaid system or our SNAP benefits, you guys would still complain about them. But with them making money in a safer way, to me, OF is way safer than a woman having to be on the street meeting a stranger and possibly putting herself in danger. So I would rather OF any day of the week
Mhm.
than what women have had to deal with in the past. And not to say that women don't still, maybe do things like that. But like I said, I would rather them be safe with something like OF and be able to take care of themselves or kids. And the same for any man as well.
Yep, totally agree. Um, eh, who are we at war with? Who are we still at war with? Well, we're at war with Iran still. We are at war with people that think that uh, the firearm issue in this country is not really a thing. We're at war with a lot of people right now. We're at war with people that lack humanity and empathy. Who's talking about Iran? I am, Tommy boy.
And by the way, the ceasefire does officially end on Wednesday. So I don't see too many ships going through the Straits of Hormuz. So we are definitely still at war.
It's not it is the firearm and the person. Both.
Dennis, that's a very good point. We have to look at like what's making people choose these options. And I definitely get someone in the chat said that they would hate to think that people were forced to do that. And I'm not, of course, we don't know. Some people could be. As we've already stated, this is kind of like one of the oldest kind of things out there. But I can't say that, but I do know that a lot of people are doing it voluntarily, and a lot of these people are people in your community. These are people who have jobs, but this is supplementing for them. I mean, you have teachers on there, you have all type of people on there because of the economy. Things are very expensive right now, and people have to do what they have to do. And I also would like to point out that people, and I don't even know if I can say this word on TikTok, but the P word, selling of your body, is legal in many countries like Canada and the Netherlands, and they treat these people like this is a profession, and they get health care, everything, and it's just way safer because you're not in a back alley somewhere trying to do something. And so it's almost like abortions. When abortions were illegal in America, people went to great lengths and unhealthy lengths to get one. Let's make X work a legal thing, and in that way people do not have to go to unhealthy lengths to do it and make money.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Tommy. Yep. I blame the knife when somebody gets poked. Yep, I do. You got it. You found me out.
And by the way, speaking of the war, as you know, Israel and excuse me,
Yep.
am I still here?
You're
I'm
back.
sorry about that.
Yep.
Yeah, the I country and Lebanon have a ceasefire, except the ceasefire apparently hasn't lasted too long. 5 strikes in Beirut, and last I heard, Beirut was in Lebanon.
Mm-hmm.
So that's being reported now on the
Well,
Washington
yeah.
Post.
Did you hear what the terms of the ceasefire was? It was ridiculous. It was like, we'll stop firing on each other except for the ones that were already planned. It's like, what? That's not how a ceasefire works.
Yeah, a ceasefire is either cease firing or it's not. It's pretty much an either or thing.
Morning, Tiffany. It's all but yep. I blame every inanimate object that can be used to take someone's life for the taking of the life. Yep. You figured me out, Tommy. Congratulations. Oh yeah, the ceasefire between Israel and the people in that other place. Yeah, that didn't last either. We know that. You're not a we. Do you understand that you just used a pronoun? What do you think about pronouns, Tommy?
You sure you want to open up that can of worms?
No, because probably if he says a statement, he's just going to be gone. So I don't care. I know what he thinks about it.
So have we talked about yet how our troops and are being treated who are stationed in the Middle East? Because I've seen some pictures of the food and how they're rationing right now. This is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Tommy,
And
you know nothing about me.
It's not just the food, it's the sanitary conditions as well. They've already had backups in the sewage system on our aircraft carriers
Mm-hmm.
because they're overstaying their, they need to be serviced, and they're overstaying their, 6-month deployment. And when you're beyond 6 months, a ship has to be fixed, and these haven't been fixed. I think one of the aircraft carrier task groups is on month number 9 or 10 right now.
And see, this is what happens when you have someone who is disrespectful to our military running this country. He does not care.
Well, he's the same man who called people who served their country suckers and losers, so it shouldn't come as any surprise to us.
Love when people just so obsessed with their one thing that they don't pay attention to what he didn't say that. What? He did say that. He did call them suckers and losers. He literally said it. There's video of it.
He also said it to General Mattis, and he also said it to General Kelly. As a matter of fact, when visiting the gravesite of General Kelly's son, he said, "What was in it for him?" That was a nice statement, wasn't it?
He has said many disrespectful statements about our military. And now he's trying to use it as a weapon.
So this is the last statement. If you, Tommy, have no ability to actually have a conversation, then you're not going to get to talk here anymore. So just saying. That is a pre-warning for you and a statement to the people that need to know. Thank you, Leon. Thank you. Gonna be all right someday. I hope you're right. He's a toddler who never learned self-regulation. Nope. He hasn't learned a lot of things. I mean, did you see the story that came out that said that he wasn't even allowed in the situation room for some of these things?
He wasn't allowed in the situation room for the rescue mission for the
Yeah.
downed pilot. Yeah, that's pretty strange. That is a strange story. And it just goes to show that the people closest to him know how unhinged he is. That's dangerous. That is very dangerous. In other words, they know, they're fully aware of how unhinged he is, so they won't even let him in his own situation room.
Yeah, right, Jim. Kamala been too emotional. But our current president can't be in the situation room when we have 2 pilots behind enemy lines.
Right? She would have been too emotional, or her laugh would have been too funny.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they did know in his first term. They spent half of their time. It has been talked about ad nauseum by the people that worked under him that they spent like half of their time just going, like, stopping him from acting on his worst impulses. Why can't the cabinet agree? Because they are all sycophants who are immature, incompetent children. That's why. That have
Leon, take a look who's in our cabinet. Pete Hegseth. You have now the new replacement for the Todd Blanche, who's even worse than Pam Bondi. You have Kennedy. You have Gabbard. These people are not going to enforce the 25th Amendment. They're simply not, and let alone J.D. Vance.
I mean,
they're not going to do it. They don't care if it's a weekend at Bernie's thing. They're not going to do it.
Literally, all you have to do is look at what Tulsi Gabbard and RFK did in their congressional hearing things to know that they don't have the capability of doing so. They have thrown their lot. These people have thrown their lot in with this person so deeply that they know they are toast when this is over. So their only hope is that he somehow survives long enough to pardon them.
It's exactly right. And the way you worded it is exactly right. They are not there to serve their departments. They are not there to, like Cash Patel, they are not there to serve the United States, the American people. They're there to serve one person. And that is specifically why they were chosen. He deliberately chose incompetent people so that he could never be challenged. And the results speak for themselves. He screwed up on literally everything. And because he has nobody in his cabinet who's willing to say, you know, Mr. President, that's a bad idea. There's not one person in his cabinet who will tell him that.
Correct. Those people were cherry picked, and none of them have any expertise in the areas that they are in, but that's what he wanted. They are cherry picked to do exactly what he wants. And guess what? They are all doing a money grab to have as much money as they can while they're there, and hoping, as Scott said, that he'll be able to pardon them. And if he can't, they are millions of ahead now than where they were when they came into that cabinet. So they figure they could go somewhere else or kind of live a happy life later, as long as they're not prosecuted. And they were willing to take that chance.
Mourners, do you think I'm a Democrat? We'll give this a minute. I want to see where this goes for a second. Do you think I'm a Democrat? And if so, why? It will take decades to unravel. It will take decades to unravel. On election day, did you vote for? Nope, that's not what makes someone a Democrat or Republican, mourners. That is not. Democrat's just a word.
And by the way, mourners, where do you get off saying that Democrats aren't Americans? What part of the Constitution says that? Be specific.
I have voted for Republicans more in my life than I have voted for Democrats. So if you think me voting for a Democrat in this last election makes me, no one cares what minority sect of Democrat you subscribe. Nobody, dude, grow up. Goodbye.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
just get rid of him.
We're done. No worries, Summer. Hope you have a great day. Yeah. People are wild.
Wild is not quite the adjective I would use, but then again.
When will the Democratic Party... The Democratic Party has run a lot of good candidates for president. People don't vote in primaries. You're saying things that hurt my feelings. You're home. No, there are just certain things that are required to be able to have a conversation in this live. And one of which is not just laughing at my responses when you're having a conversation. Kamala was a great candidate. Was she perfect? No. No, she wasn't.
I think that one of the things, though, as someone mentioned, like
Goodbye,
why
Tommy
aren't
boy.
they running good candidates? But I think we have good candidates. I think that this not last election, maybe 2016 election changed the way that people are voting, changed the way that people consumed media. And I think that the DNC has not kept up with that in terms of their marketing. So I think that that is one area where we can grow and market differently and have a different message because the political landscape of the USA has changed.
Sure. I think we have got a problem in that we as a whole think it's about, and everything is marketing in some way, shape, or form. The problem that Democrats have always had is because we are by our very nature some more than others obviously, but a more progressive we are part of the more progressive side, whatever the name is that it is under at the time. It is always a bunch of people that don't fully agree on anything. It still always needs to come down to, again, especially in our current system, the primaries. Again, you don't want to call yourself a Democrat. I get that. That's why I don't call myself a Democrat. I don't agree with the Democrat Party. That being said, the only party that contains people that have a possibility of winning 90% of the elections is someone within the two major parties. That does not mean you are a supporter of the Democratic Party. We need to fix things. There are massive issues, and I was going to bring Hungry back. The reason the guy who won was because the more progressive candidates dropped out and supported this guy because they knew the only way to get out of this problem was to get everybody to go vote for someone that we could all support to start the fixing of the problems that we had. Now, again, does that mean that we have somebody that we can and should all coalesce around? I don't know. There's some people out there that I maybe would be willing to consider. There are plenty that I wouldn't. I don't want Newsom no matter what. That being said, there is no planet where Newsom is not better than what we currently have. But I will be doing everything within my power to make sure that that man is not the candidate that we have to vote for. But that involves a lot of people getting out in the primaries, which again is something we as a whole do not do. And as long as getting out in the primaries is something that we do not do, the only choices that we get as Americans, as independents, as super progressives, whatever you want to call yourself, is whoever those 25% choose. Then who? I don't know. We're still over 2 years away from the election. We're still probably almost a year away from people really coming out and starting the process.
Yeah, Warren, people won't start to focus on 2028 until after the 2026 midterms. And quite frankly, people shouldn't be focused on 2028 until after the 2026 midterms.
Hungary had over 80% turnout. What do you think of Illinois Pritzker? I don't have an issue with Pritzker as a whole. I do not think a billionaire should be president ever again. I have a problem that he is a billionaire. As good as of a person as he may be, our society cannot have a billionaire in charge who is still willing to be a billionaire. I'm sorry, that's just not. Doesn't matter how good he is. There are no good There are no billionaires that got their money without the exploitation of other people. That doesn't mean there aren't billionaires that care about other people. Taylor Swift is a billionaire.
Well, I do have one thing that I think we can all agree on, Democrat and Republican. I think we've had enough with 80-year-old presidents.
Absolutely. What about inheritance? That's still money based off of the exploitation of other people. What about Pete? I'd be willing to consider Pete. Sure. I'd be way more willing to consider Pete over Newsom, for sure. In the end, I'm going to wait until I see who comes out before I make any decisions on who I would vote for. It looks like he's going to run, so it'd definitely be one of the people I'd be willing to consider. Jon Stewart? I don't think Jon Stewart would run. Would I consider Jon Stewart? Sure, I would consider it. I also don't believe that we should, I don't know. I struggle with this idea of people that got famous on TV being in politics anymore too. That has not gone well as a whole.
That's true. It hasn't. We have Trump, Reagan, not good track records.
It looks like we have no choice. We don't have any choices yet. No one is running yet.
Warren, the Democratic primary is going to be incredibly full for 2028. There are going to be an awful lot of people running, including people that we have no idea about right now. Now, what do I mean by that? If you take a look at every single president in this century, every single one of them, both parties, none of them were thought of as a potential president 3 years before the election. Not Bush, not Obama, not Trump, not Biden because he was retired. So we don't yet know who's running. The only thing we do know is that Democratic primary is going to be jam-packed with people.
It's not time to test this. What do you mean, Dot? What do you mean by testing this? What testing what? We're not testing anything. I just want people to be involved. I just want more people to vote in the primaries. Because again, that is where you choose. That is where you choose. Kamala's saying she's not counting it out. Who's equivalent? No one's equivalent to Mamdani. Mamdani was a very specific person in a very specific space. I am the country that I want to see is about as progressive as you could possibly be. I do not think I struggle to see a world where a Mamdani could win globally, right, or countrywide right now. That's not to say that they can't. But I struggle to see that with what we're currently going through. I would love to be proved wrong. If someone like a Mamdani was running, would I vote for him in the primaries? Depending on what he was actually running on? Probably. Probably.
I would love to see America go that route as well, but I think that history has shown us that our women candidates, and I won't say history because I guess Obama got in, but like we put two great women candidates out there, Hillary and Kamala, and in which I do understand that there was maybe some history with Hillary, but wow, the way that people even switched parties. You had Democrats who voted Republican just so they did not have to vote for those women. So
Mhm.
I hate that that's the case, but I don't know. And then this next election is going to be so important. I will be honest, like I'm almost scared for a minority or woman candidate to run because I don't want to lose it. I don't know, but I hate that I feel that way.
Well, Zoe, there's another way to look at that. If the woman had lost by 15 points, I would agree with you. But Hillary Clinton actually won the popular vote by two points,
You did.
and Harris only lost by 1.5 points. So I don't think that the experience of those two candidates means that a woman couldn't be elected.
No.
In fact,
Mm.
I would argue it points out that definitely a woman can be elected because when you add those two elections together, the woman got more votes than the man did that she was running against. So, you
And
know,
I agree. I was just thinking that just for this next election, it's so precarious because we don't want them to win. That's all I meant. I
And
don't
yeah,
think that in
I
the
hear
future
you.
it couldn't happen.
I hear you. I just, one thing's for sure, we're going to have our pick of the litter in the 2028 election because there's going to be an awful lot of Democrats running, an awful lot.
Mhm.
I also think a lot of things that have come. I think the fact that two amazingly qualified women lost in the way they did the last in two presidential elections, and all of the information that has come forth, especially in the last 6 months, less than 6 months, in the last 3 months, about how and what men, especially men that look like me, have done around the country and the world. I think there is a door that is opening in a way that we have not seen before up until this point. Again, it's one of those things where each time something like this happens in the world we live in, because I think there's this danger and a thing that consistently happens throughout throughout, especially right now, where we've got a lot of people that are my age or older. Not everyone, obviously, but a lot of people that are my age that and are older that look at things from a perspective of what the world was like before social media was as big as it is. Not that they don't even understand that social media is bigger, but because they didn't grow up with it as long as the people that are younger than me did, their brains don't process it the same way. It's harder to really picture the reality of what's going on in the world. And I think the e-files and the realities of what has come forth just about two of the people in Congress, the realities of or the thing that has come forth now about this website, and so many other things that are going to start, I truly believe are going to start coming forth over the next 3 years, especially the stuff that has come forth about this administration in so many ways. I think doors are going to open in a way that they haven't before, because I think not only are just more and more younger people getting older, which means more and more younger people are getting to vote, but things that used to be able to be just swept under the rug, they're attempting to sweep it under, and it's not working anymore. So we'll see. I've already said many times that I think men, especially men that look like me, have lost a lot of, as Kia has said multiple times, men that look like me have run 99% of the country government-wise over the last 250 years, and look where we're at. Look where we're at.
That's true. Someone just made a good point in the chat as well. Do we want, like a really great candidate or a really great woman candidate to come in and clean up this mess? And I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with it. I just thought it was a good comment to discuss.
Yeah, whether it's a man or a woman, the next president is going to have their work cut out for them. There's going to be an awful lot of cleanup on aisle 3 for the next president. I hope whoever that person is, male, female, of whatever race, doesn't matter. I hope that they get 2 terms, because the first term is just going to be cleaning up this mess. They're going to have very little time to enact their agenda.
This country needs a giant dose of reality. Like, this entire country just needs a giant dose of reality. I think I think there are far too many that are happy living in the dream world.
I agree, Jerry. It's going to be a long cleanup, and it's going to be an arduous task. There's going to have to be a lot of deep thinking, and whoever the new president is going to need an expert cabinet. No more hacks, no more hangers-on, an excellent, far-reaching, intellectual cabinet, because each department is going to need a cleanup operation that we haven't had in this country's post-Civil War.
I'm sure a lot of women have. They probably do, Claudia. Probably do.
And you know what else I think? We are going to have a lot of cleanup diplomatically with our ex-ally, or I won't call them ex-allies, but it seems like they are.
With
at
our
this point.
historical allies.
Yes, with our historical allies, I really do think just the finer touch of a woman might be really great for that. So I hope that no matter who's president, that who's ever dealing with foreign policy and different things like that, that's going to, I don't know, almost, I think it could benefit from a woman's touch.
Like I said, you look at a lot of these countries that have had women governments, they're doing, in the grand scheme of things, they're doing pretty good compared to especially us in terms of the happiness. Again, perfect? No, but they are our allies as long as we are doing. Nope, Wendell. Welcome to reality. The heavy lifting that the United States has been doing has been by our own desire. That's the part that people don't seem to get. We chose to do all the heavy lifting because it gave us soft power throughout the world. So when we complain about all of the heavy lifting that we are doing, we chose to do it. We chose to be the policemen of the world. We chose to build bases around the world. We weren't told to. We weren't even asked to. We chose to. And don't bring up NATO because NATO is a defensive, not an offensive.
And besides, a lot of nations in NATO are now spending more of their GDP on defense than we did.
Nothing changed unless people pay consequences for their votes and this regime is held accountable. A lot of things can change even without that. But yes, I think if we, as at minimum, don't start holding people accountable in government for their choices by voting them out of office consistently, not just going back and forth between Republican and Democrat, but actually holding people accountable, nothing will change. That is true.
So I did a training last week with the DNC, and I'm trying to think of how I want to word this because I don't want it to sound negative. Um, it's a training that they're doing across the country, and they have like different zones, kind of Midwest, Southwest, that kind of thing. And basically, what I was sold on was not the training that I received. Basically, it was I'm sorry, 7 week or 9 week. I can't remember. They either did a 7 week or 9 week training in February, and then I was just doing they was kind of doing like a makeup training for people who couldn't do the 7 week training. And basically the gist of it was to be nice and empathetic to people, and basically teaching you how to be nice and empathetic to people, kind of using the DNC's talking points. And that's been a wake up call to me that maybe, um, and because I am a Democrat, and I know, like some people in the chat are not, but we're all just fighting for the United States. But that was a wake up call to me that maybe right now, the agenda is not where we need it to be to come out great in the midterms. I think we'll come out great in the midterms because of what the other side is doing, but not because of what the DNC is doing. And so, that
Yeah.
that's something to put out there. Like, okay, like, is there time for something different, progressive party, or just something different? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Someone who is more with the times, because
So
yeah.
yeah,
Anyway, go
sorry.
ahead.
I'm only interrupting because it's actually 12:08 and I didn't realize, so I'm gonna have to get off
Oh,
soon. But I want to make sure I mention a couple things. One, I think our allies know that not all American people are the problem, Warren. But I do not think our American allies can easily trust the United States government, because what we have shown is that our trade deals, our any deals, don't mean anything, and I think that's a problem. That is a different problem that we're going to have to deal with. At this point, we need to vote blue no matter what. False. I think that's a horrible statement to consider. I think we need to vote based on our fundamentals. And I think that at this point does align with the blue, I still disagree with the mentality of vote blue no matter what. But also, I want to shoot. What did I want to put out there? Dang it, I forgot my other one. Vote in the primaries, absolutely. anyways, so I've got to get off because I've got an interview coming up soon. Please go watch the videos. Oh, that's what it was. What we can do to change things, and I think that is, we've got a lot of people running under the Democratic Party ticket that in any other world would probably not be considered Democrats. We have this problem in a two-party system where you can have a broader party under a party. And I think that's why we need to pay attention and get out and vote in these primaries for these grassroots candidates that are not status quo Democrats. So yes, the Democratic establishment, I believe there's a very low popularity of it. I don't like the Democrats, the Democratic Party per se. But I love a lot of these people running. Now, there's some running as independents too that are great people, but they're running for positions. I mean, it's going to have to be a Democrat or Republican for the presidency. And anyone who thinks otherwise is not, in other words, vote. You have no idea what socialism is, Wendell. Stop saying dumb things that you don't know the definitions of. So please go and watch the videos of the people that I'm interviewing. I'm posting every single day of people that want to be held accountable, that want to make changes, that want to break the status quo, that actually are, I taught it for 32 years. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. That's you obviously, nothing you said shows you know anything about socialism, so there's no way you taught it for 32 years. Anyways, thank you for being here, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. So I'm doing all mornings again. In high school. Okay. The Tuesday thing just isn't. I'm still gonna do Tuesday night lives too, but I'm gonna go back to doing Tuesday morning lives as well. So I'm just gonna Monday through Friday. And also for everyone here, 9:30 every morning over on the tube, we're gonna watch the video that I post as a premiere episode together. So the link, if you're in the Discord, the link will pop up there. You can just click on it, and you can click notify me if you do it early, or you just get on and you can just hang out there and it will pop up. And then we'll talk, and then we'll go right into the live after. So it'll pop you right over. You don't even have to leave. So thank you for the likes, the shares, and the gifts. I appreciate you all. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Go do something, go touch some grass, go get some sun. Vitamin E is really good for you. You guys are amazing just the way you are, and I love you all very much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Remember to sing, laugh, dance, smile. Do something that makes you happy. Bye, guys.